All right, so what we've been doing, or if you've been doing it, in the science category, you've been working on Nearpod lessons that do scientific method. So what we're going to work on today is we're going to go straight through it from the start to the finish. Okay? So, we've played around in class before with this particular type of vinegar. Okay? Can I get like a nod that you all agree? Yes, we played around with this? Okay. So, we played around with this, which is baking soda. Okay? Now, if we take this, the vinegar's already in here, and I'm trying to use as clear a glass as possible so you guys can see. So, the vinegar's already in here. If we take this, we know what the reaction's going to be. Okay? So, I'll combine them in just a minute so that you guys can see. But today what we're going to do is I want to know if, does this type of vinegar, this is malt vinegar, it's made in a different way, does this one produce the same reaction? And you can start making your hypothesis or conclusion. So I have this one. Some of you may use this at home in some way. This is called apple cider vinegar. Or this is a very fancy vinegar, and it's called raspberry infused vinegar. Okay? So, there are three choices, and what we're going to test today is, does one of these three react in the same way, or in a better way? So what I want you to do is, right now I want you to think about, could this one be the one that reacts more? Could this one, the apple cider, be the one that reacts better? Or could this one be the one, this raspberry infused kind of fancy vinegar? Or they might not respond at all. So the first thing we need to do is we need to run the test so that you can see what we're looking for. Now I'm going to unmute you. What would we be looking for making that decision of whether the other three responded the same way as the one we've used in school before? This is the one you used to make volcanoes, if you did that. But we did that with the balloons in the classroom. So what would we be looking for? What do you think we'd be looking for?
I don't know.
Well, when the baking soda goes into the mixture, it foams. So what would we be looking for? Do we want the other mixtures to foam?
Yes, we want the other mixtures to foam.
Okay, so that would say that they are responding the same way. If they were to really foam up, then we know that they were much better than the others.
Really cool as well.
Okay, so what color, I'm going to give you just three choices. Which color would you like the vinegar to be that we're going to get going with so you can see what the response is? Alright. If I do all the colors, it gets kind of gross.
What? They make it green because nobody chose that.
Make it green because nobody says that. Alright. So, I'm making it red. Alright. So, here we go. Into the solution.
Oh. Some soda. Cream soda. Yeah.
Alright.
Okay, whatever focus on and drink it.
I wouldn't recommend this. No, we're not going to drink that.
Delicious.
Okay. So, if the other vinegars are to respond the same way, or we're going to hypothesize that they're going to be the same or better, we have to have the same reaction in order to conclude that. So, my hypothesis is this one, the apple cider vinegar, is going to be the one that's going to produce the larger, more, or an equal reaction as the white vinegar. Okay? So, I want you all to think, which one do you think? So back to the choices. There's the malt vinegar, there's the apple cider vinegar, and then there's the fancy raspberry infused vinegar.
What makes it so good?
Just the fact that it has raspberry in it.
You don't know that.
Okay, alright, so in order for this experiment to actually be a true experiment, we have to keep a couple things consistent, okay? Now, you didn't see me prep the glass and the containers. So in these, there are 4 teaspoons of baking soda, okay? And so there's 4 teaspoons of baking soda in this one, and 4 teaspoons of baking soda in this one. Because if you had to wait for me to measure it out, you'd be like, Alright, now, I have to put the same amount of vinegar into the container. I used a tablespoon measurement, okay? So I'm going to measure out 3 tablespoons of the malt vinegar. And now it's smelling really great in my house. Alright, so same amount. Now, if I put the coloration in here, you guys are not really going to see any difference. So I'm going to leave this one alone. Okay? Are we ready? Everybody ready to observe? We're looking for the same effect. And 1, 2, 3.
Look at them bubbles.
The cool part that I don't know if y'all can see is it keeps going and going. I was not expecting that from this particular one. Okay. So, on to the apple cider vinegar. Three tablespoons of the apple cider are going in here. So there's the apple cider. I will give it a little bit of coloration. I put some blue in there. Alright, so we're looking for the same or similar reaction. So 1, 2, 3. Oh my goodness. Yes. So, what do you think about that? That one went up out of the container and it's still going. Very interesting. And no, I didn't test this ahead of time, so I didn't think I was for sure the apple cider. I just had a pretty good guess that it would be, that's my guess, my hypothesis. All right, one last one. The raspberry. The raspberry one. So, and one of the things that you guys can't see, unfortunately, is that this one has a much thicker consistency. So we shall see. So based on the other 3 or the other 2 that we've done, this is number 3, and of course the one that you have seen in the past, do you think this one might be just as explosive or reactive as the others? Give me a thumbs up if you think so. Some of you are like, no, I see a kind of a eh. Okay. Well, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
Not as exciting. No. Okay. So, what we walked through today was I posed a question. Okay? And my question was, which vinegar would respond or react the same or better as the white vinegar? Now, in our scientific method, we should always go through and do some research ahead of time. Okay? Now, I skipped that part for today just because we've got a short lesson to do. And I made my hypothesis, and I asked all of you to kind of make a hypothesis before we started. So, alright, then we went through and conducted an experiment. And so that experiment included 3 different test items. All of them were the same amount, so that we couldn't say, well, the reaction was larger because there was more vinegar or there was more baking soda this time. We made every single test consistent. And if we'd been together in class, you all would have been dumping everything into the containers and doing the exact same thing to practice. So, later on the Padlet, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the exact measurements and the exact vinegar types that I used. And you can do this at home. As you can see, it wasn't very dangerous. It was pretty easy. The only thing is, you have to worry about the potential of the excessive overflow in the experiment. So, the last little thing is we analyze everything that we do, or we did, and then we go straight to the conclusion. Okay? And so my conclusion is that the apple cider vinegar worked a lot better. In fact, that was the one that exploded over the top. And next year when I do the balloon experiment with everyone, I might use the apple cider vinegar instead of the white vinegar. Okay. Yeah. So for those of you, this is the container of the fancy vinegar, and it is still going.
Bruh, it's just slowly rising up.